Foreign Aid Secretary Penny Mourdant is working with top eurosceptics such as Jacob Rees-Mogg on delivering Brexit, sources have revealed, with the MP for Portsmouth North also said to be a contender to replace Theresa May as Tory leader and Prime Minister.
You've been asked several times, but if not now, would you in the future consider the possibility of standing for Prime Minister?
Well, I give the same answer I've given before, which I'm sorry it's boring, but I'm a backbench MP. I've never held ministerial office, and so I'm not going to be a candidate for the leadership, but my ambition is for Brexit to be delivered. That's what I'm most concerned about, rather than who actually does it.
Penny Mourdant has been a prominent campaigner for the UK to leave the EU in March 2019. The aid minister has been seen as a key figure in Theresa May's cabinet, after opting to stay in government despite her reservations over Mrs May's highly contested divorce deal. Now, sources within the Tory Cabinet claim Ms Mourdant is working with key figures like European Research Group, ERG, Chairman Jacob Rees-Mogg on how to stop the Prime Minister from switching to a softer Brexit. Brexiteer Minister Ms Mourdant is said to be joining forces with other hardline MPs to hatch a plan from inside the government to ensure the Brexit deal is reached. Discussions on the trade deal section of Mrs May's deal are due to begin the day after Britain's exit day on March 29, but the embattled Prime Minister still needs her deal to be passed by the House of Commons following a nail-biting confidence vote on her leadership. A senior Tory source told the Mirror, "Obviously people talk to one another, but there's a pretty big leap between having a chat with Jacob Rees-Mogg or Steve Baker and working with key figures in the ERG to pull together a plan that is ultimately your plan for government. These are the people who are literally trying to get rid of her boss."
An ERG source also told the newspaper, "Penny is the most ERG person left in the cabinet, so it's hardly surprising that she's fishing in the pool." The Prime Minister is facing an uphill battle to pass her criticised withdrawal agreement through Parliament, with cabinet ministers openly airing their grievances and floating other approaches to the UK's exit from the bloc. Meanwhile, Mrs May is due to tell MPs that a second referendum would cause irreparable damage to Britain, days after she branded the notion of a second referendum as an insult to British people. And, despite facing resistance from former Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, who spearheaded the Chuck Checkers campaign to denounce Mrs May's deal, the Prime Minister and former London Mayor are said to be uniting to halt a second referendum. Mr Johnson said anyone backing a second referendum was out of their minds and would betray millions of voters. It was also revealed last week that ministers plotted their own Tory leadership bids, rounding up support for their own campaigns despite publicly backing the Prime Minister. Mrs May announced her plans to step down at the end of Brexit negotiations, telling MPs she had no intention to lead the party into the next general election. Several Tory MPs expressed outrage at ministers for trying to gain support within the party, despite publicly claiming support for Mrs May. Home Secretary Sajid Javid is alleged to have directly approached Tory MPs, asking for their backing in the run-up to the Prime Minister's confidence vote, in case she lost.
However, Mr Javid claimed on Twitter, "The last thing our country needs right now is a Conservative Party leadership election. Will be seen as self-indulgent and wrong. Prime Minister has my full support and is best person to ensure we leave EU on the 29th of March. Andrea Leadsom, Jeremy Hunt and Amber Rudd are said to be eyeing up the Tory leadership. Former Brexit Secretary David Davis, who lost to former Prime Minister David Cameron in the 2005 general election, is reportedly being earmarked as a potential caretaker Prime Minister following Theresa May's departure from office. Thank you for your time. Subscribe for more upcoming news.
Thank you.